guys, we've got a lot to check in on with a very volatile crypto weekend. Big dumps, liquidation, flushes, one of the biggest liquidation events that crypto has ever seen in terms of dollar amount. But a bit of a bounce is underway. Are bulls in the clear? Is it alt season from here? Let's talk about what happened. So first off, Bitcoin tested our support zone, and this is the support zone that has been holding for months at this point, and it initially held. So if we look at the weekly perspective, the bulls are trying to keep closing above EMA 12, as I keep saying in these videos. For me, bigger picture, that's the most important thing. If weekly EMA 12 support is holding, the bulls are keeping their control. Could this turn into a weekly head and shoulders? Yes, that's possibly on the table, but we know that this support zone of 89 to 91,000 is the most important level. And if that level is lost, the next thing that I look to is monthly EMA 12 in the $77,000 range, and previous resistance, now support in the $73,000 to $74,000 range. So there's a good chunk of potential downside if we lose this base of support that the bulls are attempting to maintain. At this point, I'm on the 12-hour, watching for a 12-hour lower high, and we have to be aware of potential headlines and things, just in the sense that, you know, at 3 p.m. today, Trump's talking to Trudeau, and we could get some new tariff information. Why was crypto dumping on tariff news? So you have to understand crypto's role in markets. It's not crypto, it's crypto amongst all markets globally. And so when you have something that you know is going to happen on the weekend, which is Trump's going to talk about more tariff stuff. So Friday afternoon, crypto is reacting to the market drop on Trump tariff stuff. Note more details are coming Saturday, and Bitcoin will be the only gig in town for reacting to whatever is said, which means if I've got $1 million of long exposure in stocks and I can't do anything and I realize, things are escalating, you know, Trump's keeping these tariffs on and now Canada's striking back, how do I protect that position? I can't. My hands are tied for the weekend. I can short crypto. And that can give me some protection of my exposure. So it serves as an instrument to be utilized by all market participants to act on weekends when they otherwise cannot. And that is a significant role for this asset class to have. So in the short term, I'm looking for an equilibrium because we have a wide range. At this point, Bitcoin has bounced over 50% retracement from the drop, which means we scout a 12-hour lower high, then we scout a higher low, and we look to tighten up a good bit of the start of this week. Why did we dump so hard? I mean, Bitcoin didn't dump that hard, right? Bitcoin's dumped way harder plenty of times. Bitcoin itself looks just fine. Alts dumped extremely significantly. The reason is leverage as a major reason. Why? The same thing happened with semiconductors. Semiconductors 2 weeks ago were all bull. Trump's doing a $500 billion deal to get AI a top priority, and you know, semiconductor names are all strong. And then over the weekend, we get the DeepSeek news, big gap down, liquidations. We know there were liquidations because we know it was a very bullish backdrop, fundamentally bullish, technically bullish. And so bulls don't have anything to worry about, and they get sucker punched by surprise over the weekend. And so you know that euphoria just very quickly turns into fear and forced selling. We had the same thing in crypto. We have Trump is bullish, he's signing executive orders and crypto reserve, yada, yada. And we know that that leads to people leaning into the bull side. All right, I'm going to go aggressive. I'm going to add some leverage. I'm going to pile in here. And then we have breaks of support and lots of liquidations and flushes. And it's just a cascading event where you break a support level, stop losses trigger, liquidations trigger, you break another support level, stop losses trigger, and it just gets massively extended. This is the kind of volatility that we saw last night that was the norm in 2017's run, where, you know, we're going plus minus 25% on a day very often. Bitcoin was doing that back then. Manipulation. I have a pet peeve when people talk about manipulation. First off, there's manipulation across all markets. But I see people highlighting things like, these things were dropping at the same time, all these different coins. How is that possible? The chances of that happening are 1,000,000,000 to 1. That person clearly doesn't understand the way that modern markets trade with automated trading systems, bots, correlations. This is how markets operate. It happens in the stock market as well. I'm staring at an ETF because it's trading tick for tick with correlation of an individual name, and a lot of my trading decisions are based on what those correlations look like. But it is very normal for that to be the case because of the bots and automated trading systems. Nobody talks about manipulation when things are going up, but people want to. Does it matter if it's manipulation? Absolutely not. Why not? Because it doesn't change what prices were hit. It doesn't change if you were liquidated and lost money. It doesn't change anything. So why are we grasping for straws to trying to explain things? I don't think it's a productive, use of our time. Every single market has manipulation. It's a fact. If you're trading markets, you are participating in that. What, do we want to start regulating crypto more to make that less of a thing? Anyways, it's so funny how crypto has shifted from 2017, where now it's yay government, yay president, yay countries and centralized power. Anyways, it's always manipulation. Deal with it or don't play in markets. Protect yourself. People just want something to blame. All right, so Bitcoin, 12-hour, we're looking for a lower high, and then we'll scout a 12-hour higher low. Great recovery, right? Here we're testing 100,000, no red flags at the moment. We're pretty much back to the middle of the range. We'll just say 90 to 108, and here we are at 99, right in the middle of that range. Dominance had a huge spike up as the altcoins flushed, and bulls are hoping that this is a top. Now, that being said, nothing changes if we are seeing weekly higher lows. Remember, this had to break bear, it didn't. So now anything above 56.6 is just a weekly higher low that keeps bulls in control. The first sign of any kind of crypto alt season will be losing the weekly higher lows on the dominance chart, and that could potentially take a while. NASDAQ, just to check in, we have a beautiful equilibrium for clarity. This is the futures chart. This is the most likely scenario when you see massive volatility in both directions, regardless of Trump news and headlines and all that. It's just a tightening range. And we're going to look for this tightening range to break later this week. But nice and clear for the NASDAQ. And it's going to matter if this breaks bear versus breaking bull. Those are two very different scenarios for the impact it's going to have on crypto. If it breaks bear, we're going to get to the lowest prices we've seen in 2.5 months. If we break bull, we're going to get to all-time highs. Those are very two different paths ahead in the short term. So definitely something we want to pay attention to in the crypto world. MSTR volatility is coming. Number one, we have earnings this week. But number two, look at the monthly inside bars. So here's where you have your period of sideways constricting range. Then it expands into significant opportunity. And now we have another period of constricting sideways range. And it's possible we remain within this for another month. We just held 292 this morning. Resistance is 404. It's still a very wide range. I would love to see another monthly inside bar form and then have a break in March of this constricting range. But something to keep an eye on as we keep tightening sideways on MSTR. ETH got right down. I mean, ETH almost broke to the lowest levels in over a year. We dropped right down to monthly support after double top. I mean, we now have a double top and a double bottom. If we're going to get back to the midway point of this range, we got to get back over 3,000. So the bulls still have work to do. Again, same deal. I mean, you can even be on the 4-hour for clarity if you want on ETH. We're scouting a 4-hour lower high. Then we scout the 4-hour higher low. You could be on the 12-hour as well, wherever you find the clarity. I like the 4-hour for ETH. I like the 12-hour for Bitcoin. But ETH BTC just hit the lowest levels that we've seen in 4 or 5 years. And we know nothing changes as long as we're in a weekly downtrend. So still a lot of work for the bulls to do. And yes, obviously, tons of longs liquidated, huge volume. I mean, I'm seeing posts saying it's low volume weekend manipulation. There's huge volume. I'm seeing posts of people saying that Binance and Coinbase are colluding. Maybe. Or it's just, Coinbase stepping in to be a market maker and prevent crypto from collapsing in a more significant way by stopping some of that bleeding. Anyways, it's all speculation. And again, the bottom line is it doesn't change anything about what happens, nor will it. So again, I suggest don't putting too much effort into, if it helps you sleep better at night, sure, go for it. But it's how markets go. And you are a participant. So you just got to accept it or start petitioning the government to regulate crypto better. Okay, 4-hour stair step on ETH. Getting ready for that lower high. Bears are getting ready to look for a position again on some of these names. I need a level where I'd say that's either the 4-hour lower high or I'm wrong, and I don't have that shaping up just yet. If you're looking long and you missed this, you're waiting for a 4-hour higher low. Because again, equilibriums are most often the most likely scenario when you get this kind of volatility in both directions. So you patiently wait for that longer term higher low in the constricting range. Some of the better bouncers, XRP, again, just so much liquidation was taking place, and all these stops centered around, $1.90 to $2 where we held, flushed right through it. That marked the bottom. Buying a $2 psychological break was a great entry. And obviously a lot of people get crushed here. I'll go over a trade I made on ADA. And honestly, the only thing that saved me was being extremely picky. I am not trading crypto alts often at all. But if you give me an event that is a once in a multiple month event, okay, I'll trade it. And the people that got killed are the people that scaled in with no stop loss. If you start scaling in to the extreme weakness on XRP at $2.10, and then another one at $2, and then another one at $1.90, and next thing you know, we flush down to 172, and you get liquidated. Again, I just cannot stress enough having stop loss levels that you're going off of to try and again, how many times have I said it? Don't trade with leverage in crypto unless you have multiple years of proven track record and success. Trading is extremely difficult. Trading with leverage, you're stacking the odds against you even more. There's nothing you can do more to stack the odds against you than be a newer trader in your first few years on leverage. Probabilities that you are going to lose are so very high. So XRP, I like the 12-hour for clarity here. So we're scouting a 12-hour lower high. We've got tons of space for a 12-hour higher low next consolidation. Bigger picture, what has this done to the chart? Monthly consolidation started, and we're going to look for a monthly higher low to be the result. Obviously, a lot of bulls were buying the dip significantly on XRP. But again, a lot of space for lower highs. Bears are going to reload 12-hour lower highs after a 40 to 50% bounce. ADA. So I chose ADA for the sole reason that I looked at my list on my screen and everything that was brutally beat up was down 22 to 24%, and it was down 35% on Coinbase. And that was another unusual thing that happened yesterday is the disconnect between different exchanges was massive. Generally, there was a premium on Coinbase, but not on ADA. Coinbase was trading on ADA at 50, 52 cents, and it was still over 60 cents on Binance. Huge discrepancy. And that's where arbitrage traders make their living, is just saying, okay, it's 10% cheaper over here. I'm going to grab it over here and sell it on this exchange where it's 10% higher. And obviously, you got to deal with, the time it takes to send coins and all that, and things getting bogged down when there's that much volatility, but that's definitely what people do. So my mindset here with my entry was, again, just getting as extreme as possible. And when I'm entering, when it's that extreme, pretty much I can only get, unless you've got your staggered limit orders already set, I can fill out one limit order, but it's so fast that I often use market orders. And in 2017, most of the time I was using market orders to buy those liquidation flushes. And there's definitely poor slippage due to poor liquidity. But if you're going to be trying to fill out a limit order and, I mean, just look at the 1 minute candle here. The 1 minute candle on ADA. If you're trying to buy in the 50s on Coinbase, it got lower than that. That's not the right. Did they amend something here? It was in the 50s. Now I'm confused. It got down below 52 cents. Anyways. This is odd. This isn't what happened. I was watching it live and trading it. I guess Binance did get down to 50 cents. Anyways, my point is, on the 1 minute candle here, you're trading at 58, you're 15% lower in 1 minute, and then you're 15% higher the next minute. So if you're trying to fill out limit orders, you're not getting it unless it's already filled out in advance. So I market bought, and it was essentially, again, I had no interest in playing altcoins until things got insanely extreme. And then, okay, 853, I'm looking for a climax low here and looking for at least an hourly bounce real soon, not just scaling in, risk management needed. And so then, okay, over the next 10 minutes, I'm watching. And then at 9:08, market buying some, and it was just this 1 minute candle. All right, we can't get any more extreme than that, at least in the short term. Market buying this 1 minute candle. Again, bad fill, add the fees. It's a fill in the upper 50s, but definitely worthwhile. Scaled out a third, and then a third, and then a third this morning, and just a nice flip. But again, it takes a lot of practice to get used to this amount of speed. One positive is the exchanges didn't bog down. I mean, so often Coinbase will just freeze up and not let you log in when this happens, and that didn't happen this time, so that was nice. But again, at this point, ADA, you can be looking for a 4-hour lower high at EMA 12 resistance soon. You can be on the 12-hour, but we will be looking for higher lows compared to where we came from on longer term time frames, probably tomorrow at some point. Again, just assume that the majority of coins are going to give us something like this as the most common pattern. SUI was another major bouncer. Got that monthly consolidation underway right off monthly EMA 12. First daily oversold conditions coming off of all-time highs. 12-hour, scout the lower high, anything under 431, and then we'll scout a 12-hour higher low eventually. So if you're looking long at this point, you're being patient for a 4-hour at least, or maybe a 12-hour higher low. If you're looking short, you're starting to get interested, starting to pay attention to look for some bounce tops. You're aware that 3 p.m. may bring a volatility spike depending on what comes out of the Trump-Trudeau call. Maybe it comes at 4 p.m., after a conversation, who knows. But a bottom's in for now. That's your climax fear capitulation bottom that's probably going to hold at least all week. Again, as we tighten up. Any name that hits a lower low stands out glaringly as significantly bearish. So it's almost like the sucker punch low, now a must hold level. All right, reading the chat room here. Never seen crypto like this 7 years in the market. That's really surprising. This is 2017 constantly. Ethereum was doing, just go back and look. Maybe you forget. But 2017, these names were giving us insane days. Here's an ETH day where we dropped 45% in one day. So it's not new. It's less frequent because liquidity has significantly improved, but clearly not in altcoins. And that's why Bitcoin didn't do it. Bitcoin has way better liquidity than all of these altcoins. Appreciate the likes and the shares. So when it comes to manipulation in crypto, more obvious because you can see on chain when things are moving around. But again, we have to make so many assumptions. Like I get the post I saw referencing, okay, Binance was intentionally selling to take out stop orders and intentionally selling to Coinbase. I don't know why they would be trying to give one of their major competitors ideal picture perfect entries. It could easily be Coinbase was putting on cash to try and stabilize the market and not lead to a collapse. I mean, we've seen in the past, way back when, again, 2017, where I forget what happened with which coin, but it went to zero or something, just completely, was it ETH? It just liquidated everything. And then the exchange came back and said, nah, we're not going to honor that. And what happened, we're going to correct that flush. Anyways, these exchanges obviously have incentive to stabilize markets as market makers when things get that nutty. Nothing would be worse for business than every single coin that you list being down 50% because, something goes wrong in terms of it's similar to the volatility ETF blowing up or something like that. I mean, nothing would have people flee your exchange faster than if something like that were to happen. Anyways, again, it's all speculation. Talk about the willow tree from last stream. Now we're saving that. Save that for when we need some real views. So again, anybody that bought the dip, if you got a good enough entry, you're selling partial, so you're getting as close to risk-free as possible with your stop near that low. I mean, if you're holding 100% altcoin portfolio, you already know that you're it might not be leveraged, but it's the next closest thing. You are as high risk, high reward as possible. And you already know my feelings on the altcoin market, where I don't think we see another 2021. But if you're not diversifying in any way outside of crypto altcoins, you just don't have any control. And the whole point of getting good at trading and technical analysis is to be in full control. So it's a very different game when you're just saying, have me, crypto gods. How do you set your stop loss? It depends on what exchange you're using, but you just click your stop loss button, choose a level that you're going to use, and set it. That's a great question. Everybody should be using AI right now instead of Google. AI should be your Google. And you should, like that question, okay, you're on Binance. How do I set a stop loss on Binance? AI answers it instantly. Be curious and empower yourself to find the answers. The amount of questions that I get asked on social media, I like answering questions. It's why I do this, right? But the amount of questions that I get asked that is a 3-second answer on Google or AI is insane. And I know it's a generational thing. Boomers and stuff like that don't have the instant thought to type it into Google that you have because you grew up with it. But seek your own information. I mean, that is, you're not going to get good at trading without having that insatiable drive for knowledge and curiosity. And AI is just such a perfect tool for that. Thanks, Stevie. I'm glad I could be of service. AI fun. Oh, boy. Oh, it's just gross. It's extremely gross. Just daily downtrend. Bears have absolute control as long as we're in a daily downtrend, and we've been in a daily downtrend for over a month. Next daily bounce, anything under 29 is just a lower high. We can bounce 100% and stay in a daily downtrend. And we are down to our only support, at least on this exchange. If you have, I mean, this is why I always have cash. I've got cash in my IRA. I've got cash in my day trading account. I've got cash in my crypto account. Why? Because you get opportunities like last night. And that maximum fear and clear liquidations when you know people are being forced to sell. They're not choosing to sell when they're down 30% in one day. They are being forced to sell, and you take advantage of that. Maximum fear is generally the best time to buy longer term entries. And you have to have cash to capitalize on that maximum fear. How do you have cash? You trim into euphoria. I used some of the cash from my long-term position. And by the way, long-term no touch. When I say that term, the intention was not to hold until I die. The intention was to say long-term no touch so I can not have to explain. I can just say 3 words and you know that that's a long-term 7-year plus position. But no, the intention was never to die with those positions. So I used the capital from the Bitcoin that I sold at 105 from the last live stream. That's what I traded the ADA bounce with. You sell in euphoria, you trim in euphoria to raise capital to use during fear. I would love to be wrong. There's nothing wrong than having an opinion. There's nothing better than having an opinion that you would love to be wrong on. I would love to be wrong about the altcoin market and that we see another 2021 crazy alt season. I will have a higher net worth if that happens. I just don't think it's the most likely scenario. Timeline for recovery. Again, if you anticipate that the equilibrium is the most likely scenario, you top out with a 12-hour lower high sometime within the next candle or two. You then pull back from multiple 12-hour candles. So a couple days. I mean, towards the end of this week, Thursday, Friday, we should have some constricting ranges getting ready to break. ETH 300 to $13. That sounds about right. I remember there was something happened where it was insanity on Coinbase. There are also times, one of the things I missed from the 2017 market is you would be able to watch the order book and the chart, and you would see bots, automated trading things, that would come in and they would market sell into a illiquid environment, and they would sell the same number of coins at the same period of time. So it would be like every 30 seconds, it sells 50 ETH into the bid, and you would just get these strange candles where they would wick down and then they would instantly go back up because of arbitrage bots. And you would recognize that happening, and you would recognize the time period interval, and you just set a bid. You say, all right, if they sell 50 coins again, it's going to drop it right down here. I'm going to set my bid here. It fills it, and we would just flip it. Literally in seconds, you would just get 3%. Like just buy there, set your sell there, and it was free money when that would happen because it was an inefficient market. And you can take advantage of inefficient markets for things like that. And again, it's a very different market than it was back then, but there were just these little nuances to take advantage of. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. Have we topped yet? Not quite. Keep an eye. Again, reverse back burners are a thing, right? So we know back burners, but when you get a big dump like this, hourly overbought can often mark a 12-hour lower high. So let's take a look at some of the bigger bouncers. Not many coins are near hourly overbought right now. Nah, Sui didn't even get there. But anyway, something to pay attention to. Because bears can use RSI just like bulls can in different environments. 30-minute got overbought, I assume. So currently 30-minute overbought is marking the temporary top on a bunch of things. Battle with 100,000 on Bitcoin. That's what we're watching at this point, obviously. All right. I appreciate you all tuning in. Again, manipulation, embrace it. It's part of the game. Protect yourself. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in the broader stock market eventually. You know, we're gonna see big liquidations and flushes and fears again. It's just not time for that cycle just yet, but it's gonna happen in Bitcoin. Bitcoin will have a double-digit percentage drop day eventually. So you just have to prepare for it. And again, this is why you can do something that works 9 out of 10 times or has a 90% win rate, but if you do not protect against the one, even the 1 out of 100, you know, I can manage flipping a position that goes against me, you know, 49 out of 50 times. But the one time that it just keeps dropping in an insane fashion and it hasn't happened in 8 months, anything like this, that's the one that really hurts you. And you have to protect against the very low probability scenarios taking place because they happen. They don't happen often, but they absolutely happen. And again, that's why leverage is so dangerous. You can do something that works 50 times in a row with leverage, and the one time it doesn't work, you can lose all those 50 times of success. You have to prepare for the 1 in 100 scenario. And, you know, you can call last night a 1 in 100 scenario for the altcoins with those flushes. And again, there are people right now who had spot and did not have leverage, and it's like nothing ever happened. It's the same price as yesterday. Time to start looking for temporary tops on some of these names like XRP. Sooner rather than later. All right, do good things. Appreciate you watching. Thanks again for the likes and the shares. We'll be back. I'll come back and do another stream later this week if it looks like we're nice and constricted and a break is coming soon. Thanks for tuning in.